Welcome back, beautiful people, to Light Warriors Unleashed podcast episode 61. Me and my solo episodes, I'm super excited to share this with you guys today because I'm going to jump into a conversation that is going to baffle some of your brains about timelines, meaning collective timelines, dimensional timelines, past life integration, what's happening in the collective right now, and the options and choices we have to shift our life through our spiritual evolution. And some of you may not logically get this, and I understand because it goes outside of our human dynamic, our human brain, our human experience. It may shake some dynamics to you, and I also bring in some of the human dynamics of my life, of course, because I love to share stories with you guys, and I'm just so grateful you're here to listen to them and be a part of my world this way. But I just want to say we are at a pivotal point in the collective energy. We get to make choices and choose how we're showing up in the world. And this podcast may help expand that open for you in your mind. And I really hope that you take this wherever you need to take it, that you feel this in your heart as you listen to it. And yeah, just really allow yourself to dream and feel and be and actually feel that you are worthy to hold everything that you really desire. So without further ado, podcast Light Warriors Unleashed, episode 61. What's up, everybody? I hope you guys are having a fabulous fucking day, is what I want to say. Coming out of the gate, whatever's happening for you, whether it's the morning, in the afternoon, in the PM, wherever you are in the world, welcome. Hi, how are you? I just got off finishing recording podcast episode 62, and this is actually podcast episode 61. So I'm going to be in the same shirt. I did not change my shirt for this podcast. I literally sat in this space. I have not moved. And it was like, let's get 61 out. Let's record 61 right now too at this exact moment of time. So here we are, episode 61. And I've been having this conversation probably for the last 6 months, but heavily over the last few weeks. And I was directed this morning, you need to record your podcast on this and talk to the world in connection with what is actually happening in the collective for you guys to have an understanding. Now, whether you choose to believe this or not, that's up to you. But as you guys know, and if you've been here before, and if this is your first time, welcome to my world. But if you've been here before, I am transparent in all of the ways that I show up in my spiritual avenues, in my swearing and sexual edge, in my humanness, in all the stories and shit shows I've been through in my life, because there's something in that, right? And I have a story just like all of you guys have a story, and I've been through things just like all of you have been through things. And some of my people are going through some of the stuff that I've been through in the past and can take the nugget that I can serve up to you from have been through that and gotten to the other side of it and run with it and use it and implement it. And that feels amazing to me. So I show up here in full transparency, and this is going to be a spiritual out there dimensional podcast. And we're going to talk about things that some of your humans are not going to believe, meaning our human side isn't going to believe. Our mind is going to say, that's not fucking true. But your heart and energy are going to be like, there's something to this for sure. And we play within this duality. If you've been in my world a while, you've heard me speak to this. I talk a lot about it in one-to-one spaces. I work with a lot of clients through this energy of dropping out of the mind and into the heart and leading through the heart, right? Because our mind has been conditioned. We can program the mind. We can control the mind. And a lot of the dynamics that we're seeing in the world right now is that mind control. If I tell you this enough times, somewhere down the line, you're going to believe it. And that happens in both landscapes, in the positive stuff of letting shit go, and in the side of dynamics of being controlled and releasing our power and all of that dynamic shit, right? So we are in a position right now in the collective energy that the timelines are collapsing. What does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? A couple things. I want to talk to you guys about a couple things. So for those that don't know this and are new to this world, let me just give you a synopsis. We have availability in this timeline. So Earth is the only experience in the dimensional world that has linear time, meaning we have 24 hours that we work within on a certain calendar system that re-evolves. It's the only place in this dimension, meaning on all the planets, in the sun, in all of this landscape that works in linear time. Okay. We have what we call past lives. Our soul has been incarnated on earth multiple times. Now, what is actually happening in our landscape as a human? We think about it being past life, meaning in 1700 and like 1724, I was incarnated in this, and that is in the past. That's what we're taught, right? Yesterday is the past. Technically, it's not. Technically, every single timeline is happening right now in real time, in real space. All of it is happening at once. So my past life being in Lemuria, my past life being one of the 12 knights of the round table for King Arthur, my past life of being an Italian opera singer, my past life as being a medicinal woman in an indigenous tribe, my past life of being a tiger. And guys, these are all past lives of mine, just saying. Like I know this to be true, are all technically happening at once. So how this works, and I'm going to try and give it to you consciously because it's baffling some of your brains already that I'm saying this. How this works is we have access to these lives at any given moment in time. We can go back into a timeline and pull energy from these lives. So I always say, if anyone ever came into my space as a human to try and hurt me, I would pull out my inner ninja, meaning the past life where I was a ninja, and I would fucking abolish them with my ninja skills from that life. I would tap into that timeline and go back into that space and literally bring in the energy of the ninja into my body. And out of nowhere, quote unquote, I am going to know how to use knives to annihilate that person. Okay. Now, I'm not saying I'm going out there to fucking kill people. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if it ever came to that, I could. Just like if it ever came to the fact that I would need to hunt for my own food, I would tap into the life that I've used bow and arrows and be able to tap in and understand how to use it. Now, this is how, and we're seeing this happen now in real time, how children are being birthed into the world right now, younger ages, and they're playing the piano at 2 years old without having music and ever being taught, where they're learning languages and they're speaking a language that you've never taught them before because they're tapped in to these lives, these past lives that they've been these things before. And the veil is so thin right now that they're remembering. Okay, this is what's happening. So a couple things about this dynamic of past lives. A lot of the shit right now that we're moving through, if you have fear, doubt, chaos, stress, you are disconnected from yourself, you have a lot of struggle, you're living in lack, a lot of these infrastructures are not even this life that you've taken on the energy from. They're from past lives that haven't been healed. So a scenario is happening in these past lives that is trickling forward into this now timeline because the veils are so thin. Back in the 80s, 70s, 60s, the veil was thicker. We didn't have access to it as dominantly, right? In the space of once we moved into the age of Aquarius, the veil started to get thin. However, some of us have been awakened, like myself, for a lot of years and has been working within that and practicing that and confidently stepping into it. So the veil's been thinner for those of us that have been doing this work for a long time. But the collective now is accessing this energy. And most of you don't have a fucking clue that this is actually happening. That this shit that you're feeling, this struggle that you're in, this chaos that you're in is actually from a past life and it's not even yours. And some of you may have even said, like, this isn't even fucking mine. No, it is yours. It's your soul's from another dimension, okay, from another lifetime. And all of it is coming forth. If fear is happening in your world right now, the fear needs to be cleared for you to fully embody in your light. And that's why this is showing up the way that it is. That's why these timelines are moving forward in the way that they are, because we need to heal this in order for us to step fully into our lanes, for us to step forward into this pathway. There's something happening for you. Okay, I'm in it in a different way. My clients are in it. Literally, the coolest fucking thing happened this week for me was one of my clients was in this sphere. She's a one-to-one client of mine. And we dropped into 3 lifetimes where this fear was embedded in different ways. And her fear was actually stepping in to own her power, to own her truth, and to really move through her mission on earth and to trust in the mission. And one of those lives, we dropped into a time where she was a medical in the medical field in this like hospital / psychiatric insane asylum almost, where she wasn't, maybe she wasn't in charge of, but we went into the room where Albert Einstein was. So she got to meet Albert Einstein, the fucking coolest experience ever of being even a guide. She's like, this guy feels like Albert Einstein. I was like, it is. Like, I could see him and feel him. And he had all this writing on the wall. And the things that he said to her was like, science is magic, as magic is science. And he was actually, this is what I kept getting through the whole experience, was he was actually put there to hide him so that he didn't bring out that truth into the world. And how this then radiated into her field was she saw this as this medical assistant and made a decision in that life to not speak her truth in case that happened to her. And that's what's been playing out in her field right now in this timeline, right here in this earth experience, so that she doesn't step into her space. So obviously we went in, we cleared the energy, we talked to her, that version of herself, we did all the work needed to do, and that has all been dissipated. So she even said to me, I feel like I'm living in another world. This was the next day. And she is, because the imprint of that fear is no longer relevant. So why I say that to you today is because of the fact that some of you guys are noticing this in your life. You're seeing it in different ways in your space, and it's time to make a decision as to how you're going to move through life. Are you going to stay in this shitstorm and take it on, or are you going to do some work? And some of you have the capacity to do this on your own. Some of you have no idea how to even make this go. But right now, at this moment of time, you're like, I need to do this work. And I normally don't promote stuff on this podcast often, but I opened up an availability for one-time sessions to do this kind of work together, literally this week. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, it's going to launch the week of November the 10th. It's going to launch. And I opened it up this past week, literally before that, to just do this kind of session. If you want it and desire it, you're going to send me a DM and we're going to talk about it, because I want to see if this is actually a thing. But I want you to be in awareness of the timelines that are changing, the timelines that are shifting, our access to stuff. So some of you guys are going to be remembering past lives. You're going to see visions of yourself. You're going to be dreaming about past lives. The veil is thin right now in the collective for us to step into that space. The next thing in connection with timelines I want to talk to you about is we are at a momentary shift right now. And I feel like it's going to go to the end of this year, where we get to make a decision as to what timeline we want to play out in. So now if we come back to Earth, this one timeline, this experience as this human here in this linear experience in this body, in the body that you're holding on to, is that we get to choose every moment of time that we experience in this life, this very moment right now. You get to choose what timeline you vibrate on. You can either vibrate higher and create more joy, love, peace, experience, adventure, pleasure in your life, or you can choose a vibration that's lower. Technically, we have high and low vibrations is what they classify them as. They just are, we're going to say. That's more chaotic, that's more dramatic, that isn't aligned, that doesn't feel juicy, that creates anxiety, that, may have depression and anger, but you live in it. Instead of just experiencing it in wholeness, you actually live there. You're making a choice to live there. We are at this moment of time right now in the collective energy of choice. Which timeline do you want to play out in? And now we get to step into that and make choices in that and hold that energy field where it will become a thing, right? We're at a pivotal point in the collective energy of choice. And I've been speaking this for a while. Like, you guys, if you follow me on social media, like, I speak to this a lot and you hear me talk about choices often. And I think I even record a podcast on choice, right? And it's about us making a decision. What do you really desire? And living in that, doing the work around that, not letting yourself fucking off the hook because of the times that you're feeling wallowing in your pity shit and becoming a victim. And you're staying in the victim mentality instead of honoring the victim when they show up and go, okay, victim, I feel you. I see you. I honor you. I understand you. And getting into the victim to go, why are you here? Because you're not feeling loved and you're not feeling appreciated and you disconnected from yourself and all the things. And now it's like, okay, we've got the victim energy showing up. Hi, victim. Hi, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. But we don't play in this energy any longer. And now you make a choice and decision to move out of victim. What is it going to take? Responsibility. What is it going to take? It's going to take you changing your thoughts. It's going to take you hanging out with different people. It's going to take you dismantling the shit shows in your world. Whatever it is, all of us are different. but you now get to make this choice. And the more times you consciously choose to move the timeline into where you really desire to live, the more the timeline moves with you. The quicker things happen, the more manifestation happens, the more alignment happens, the more juicy things happen, the more experience happens, the more adventures happen, the more joy moves through your body. But all of us as humans have been conditioned to play out in this other timeline. All of us started here, except for some of the kids coming in now that their parents are awakened, and that's shifting. It's shifting. That's why we have more access to this dominantly, because the system's changing. The imprints that these children are coming down into the world with now are different than what I was born into, that you were born into. The trauma of the world is different, and they're bringing in new calibrations. That's also one of the reasons why they are trying to create stillness in our fertility as women. That's why the mRNA vaccine was actually created, was to diminish our ability to be fertile as women, so we couldn't birth new light into the world, because the vibration of the children coming into the world now could dismantle the whole infrastructure. And that sentence alone might get this podcast taken off of platforms, just saying. But that is the truth. That is the truth. If you have babies that are high vibrational, that already get it, that come without the veil, that step into the space to tell you about divine love, that show you divine wealth and abundance, that are here in divine light, and they embody it and they live within it because their parents honor that right out of the gate, dude, the whole infrastructure falls apart. Everything. We are right now in this timeline. We are in it. We're in the meat of it. And I don't think the timeline will ever leave, but it's going to be harder for people that are in a different timeline vibrating in lower levels. It's going to be harder. The government's going to crack down, and those of us that are not floating up in our joy are going to fucking feel it. But when we lean into this divineness, this divine love, this divine birthright over here, and we are all in over here, this dissipates a lot more. We see through the veil. We don't let that affect us. We literally move into this energy field and hold it, where we go, that's an illusion and bullshit. I can dismantle this energy in real time right now and take my sovereignty back. No matter where you live on this earth experience, you have this availability within you. So I wanted to talk about this today because it's becoming imperative. And why I say imperative, and yeah, you can go about making your choices in whatever decisions you want to do. But if you are hearing this right now, you know that you are being called into this, and you know you have certain decisions to make, and you know that somewhere in your life you may not be playing in this, and that you are purposefully self-sabotaging the shit out of it. Guys, I get it. I get it. And the only reason why I can speak to it is because I've been through it. And there's a part of my life right now that I am dismantling all of this in real time and in the flow with you guys. So like, I'm not up here going, look at me, I'm over here and I fucking got over all my shit. Fuck no. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm moving into one of the most expansive years of my whole entire career as a guide, as a spiritual guide, as an activator, but also my whole entire life. The mirrors are shining on me to deal with my shit because I can't hold it all if I don't. I am in the thick of like some major life lessons right now that are being dismantled in my field. And, you know, some days I'm alone and I feel alone because some people can't hold the energy of what I'm creating. And those that used to be in my life, that used to be really connected to me, are no longer here though that way. And I'm honoring it all. And I understand my path and I get it. I really do. I really do. Like, I really do. But some days I'm still a human, you know? I'm still working on it. But I'm choosing every day this new timeline. And even in the thick of some of the thoughts that move through my mind, I'm like, new timeline thought, new timeline, because I desire that life. I desire to be the artist and the musician and the poet and the guide and the activator. I desire to have juicy conversations. I desire to ignite. I desire to live a life of joy and laughter that I can fucking laugh my ass off at myself all the fucking time. I desire this and I want it and I'm in it. And I'm like, what's it going to take? It's going to take you dealing with your shit, Colleen. It's going to take you like really looking at it. It's going to take you going into the meat. And then it's going to take you to believe that you can have a life of joy and that you can step into this and that all the things you've ever desired in your life can come true, because they can, because I'm the creator of my own reality, just like you are the creator of yours. But now we're up against this timeline shift of going, what side do you want to be on? You know, they call it the new earth. They call it, you know, Earth 2.0. They're calling it all these things, the golden ages. It all comes back to you. It all comes back to you. You inside of here, in this belief, in this movement, in this experience, it all comes back to you. So what are you choosing? Where do you really desire to be? And what the fuck is blocking you from really taking action? Get honest with yourself, right? Get honest with yourself. There's like, guys, it's not about going into your judgment or your shame or like, you know, like literally dismantling or diminishing yourself in this experience. You fucking only knew what you knew then. You only knew what you knew. And we did some shitty things in life, okay? All of us have done shitty things. All of us. Every single human on this earth. And if you are claiming you've never done a shitty thing, then the shitty thing you're doing right now is lying to yourself, because you have. You've taken that seat from someone else. You didn't get up on the bus to give your seat to that older woman. You like, you know, you stole from your brother and da da da, and all the excuses we make as to why it was okay. I'm not here to chastise you. I'm just here to bring in a reality and a conversation of truth. And this is it right here. The timeline that you are on right now, if it does not fit all of your desires, then you've chosen to be in this timeline, and you get to choose now moving forward how you show up. What does this mean for you? What does this look like for you? What do you really desire it to be? That's it. That's really what it is. And now we can play with the universal energy to help us expand it quicker, to help us jump into it quicker, to help us move within it quicker, where in real time we can manifest anything. Thousands of dollars. We can manifest deeper rooted connections. We can manifest clients. We can manifest jobs. We can manifest joy. Everything. But most of us never believe that we can actually have it, because we think we have to be a certain way, or we have to be worthy enough, or we have to do all this bullshit, which isn't true. So that came in pretty hot. I fucking love it. I just desire to serve you guys in this today. And I'm just so grateful. Like, I just want to say I'm grateful. The next solo episode podcast I'll be doing most likely will be when I get home from my trip to Guatemala, which is next week. So when you're listening to this podcast, I am about to. So if you listen to it on the Friday that it launches, on the Saturday, I will be hiking in Guatemala for a 3-day hiking trip, which I feel is going to be so expansive. Like, I'm bringing my journal because so much shit's going to come up. We're hiking 9,000 feet in this trip. An elevation. No, so that's the elevation. And it's, yeah, that's it. That's the elevation we're hiking up to. 9,000 feet from the fucking bottom. That's how high we're going. And it's like 50 kilometers in 3 days. Have I ever hiked this kind of thing before? Fuck no. So I got a lot to share, I'm sure, coming out of this. So the next podcast solo episode will be about this trip, I think, because there's going to be a lot of juiciness in that. A lot of fucking fun stories, I'm sure. A lot of making fun of myself, because I guarantee you they will have a lot of opportunities to do that. But guys, we get to choose how we desire to live life. And we get to be in this experience and hold it and be all in on it and do all the things around it. And all I'm going to encourage you to do is feel that in your truth. Let's fucking go. And like I always say, and the outro is going to say the same thing. If you feel this, share it out. Tag me. I want to know you're listening. I want to know that it hit something in you. I want to know if you have questions too, throw them around. Send me a DM. Like, I'd love to just communicate with you about this as well. And just super grateful. Really, just want to say grateful that you're here. Grateful that you're listening. I'm grateful I get to lead in this energy and be here to serve. So we'll see you guys all in the next episode.